What's up, everyone? I hope you are doing well on this Sunday. It is April 5th, 2020, and this is Raphael Garcia here for episode number 54 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Yes, this is one day after episode 53, but we are here to talk about night number two of WrestleMania 36, and we have a lot to talk about. It's a pretty good show today, but we're going to jump into that in a moment. As always, we want to thank you first and foremost for taking the time to listen to our show. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find all of our content. Is this professional wrestling podcast that I do at least once a week, along with the MMA podcast that Shawan and myself do every Tuesday. And as always, you can hop over to the flagship MMAratings.net to capture all of our content that is there. You can also go there to rate the fights. Let us know what you think about the upcoming fights that are scheduled by mixed martial arts organizations around the world. And also tell us how you felt about the previous fights too. You can give us your ratings using the star system there. You can follow MMA Ratings on Instagram and Twitter at MMARatingsNet. And you can catch me on both Instagram and Twitter at rgarcia_sports, where I share my thoughts on a lot of different things, but mainly professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, sports, and politics. You don't vary too far off from there. But we have to talk about day number two, night number two of WrestleMania, and this was a good show. It was another good show, but I, for one, will go on the record right now and say that I thought night one was much better, but I still had fun. There's nothing I'm not gonna sit here and say I did not have fun about this match, about this series of events at all. Again, with circumstances being what they are, we wish we got to see professional wrestling in a different space now, but we do not until this COVID-19 goes away and we are able to go back to living some semblance of a normal life. But what we got tonight was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it from start to finish. Well, no, not from start to finish because there were some parts that I just didn't feel like watching after a moment or two. But we started off with Liv Morgan and Natalya, and this was a decent match. It was good because I know that the WWE wants to do something with Liv Morgan, and they got her an opportunity to have her first singles match at WrestleMania. But I mean, she hasn't been around as long as Natalya has. And this was also her first singles match at WrestleMania. So it was good to see both of these ladies get to do what they do. It was a pretty decent match back and forth, but Liv picked up the win, which you could pretty much see because again, like I said, they're doing all they can to push Liv as much as possible. So that leads into Charlotte and Rhea Ripley as the first match of the actual WrestleMania showcase. And I always say, Charlotte's music when it hits, that's when you know shit just got real. Like whenever you see her come out for the women's rumbles that have been held, like her music starts and it's like this, it's legit. It's just about to get real. Her and Rhea, they had a really good match. They were being very physical, and I'm kind of concerned about Rhea because she's been seriously nerfed since she defeated Shayna for the belt. The lead into facing off against Shayna for the NXT title was big, and she looked like a fucking monster. Like she was just stomping a lot of people. And when she won the title, she was over as fuck. But now it seems like she was just too G golly, I'm just happy to be here type of character, and it showed in this match where she loses to Charlotte, and Charlotte becomes the NXT champion, two-time NXT champion. And I think this is important for a couple of different reasons because I think it freshens up that NXT women's division, which is, in my opinion, the best women's division in professional wrestling, and it creates a little bit more legitimacy to that NXT show as well. It's taking a very, really, really big gun on the WWE roster and putting them on Wednesdays, which I think will help because she immediately becomes the biggest draw on that show, easily, hands down. She immediately becomes the biggest draw on that show. The hell with Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. I mean, she becomes the face of that show, and it shows that the women's division on NXT is much more important than it is on either of the other two brands. And I think it will do a lot for that show as well. I do believe that WWE is ready to come out swinging on these Wednesdays, and these last couple of defeats that they've been faced with at the hands of AEW will motivate them to do better. I think this is a kind of a start in that direction. But we got that match first, and that followed up with Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. And, I've said this many times. I've written about this many of times. I am so sad with how the WWE has booked Bobby Lashley. You forget how just nasty this man was. Saw the video clip from a couple years ago, actually over a decade. It might be a decade old, when he jumped through the cage and tackled Umaga from inside the Hell in a Cell. I mean, you forget that he did ridiculous shit like that. He was just a beast. I mean, he fought. I was having an argument with someone on Twitter the other day about if he may be the baddest man in WWE, because he's talking about doing bare knuckle boxing matches now. This dude has fought more times than Brock Lesnar. He fought for Strikeforce. He fought for Bellator. He's fought, and he could have won fights in the UFC, especially in that heavyweight division. And if he worked on his cardio at the time, he could have been a stud there too. But I was having a debate about him on Twitter about it. It was so hilarious listening to people talk foolishness. But in the WWE, I mean, they just treat him like they treat all black male characters, and they got him pigeonholed into this stupid storyline with Lana. And she actually cost him the match here, where she told him to go for the spear. He ends up going for the spear and takes a black mask to the face. This was a good match. Both guys looked pretty decent in it, but I'm just not here for anything involving Lana with Lashley. You know, we talked about the stereotypical elements of this storyline. We talked about all that foolishness. It just needs to go away. It needs to get out of my face. And I hate the way that they continue. They always do this with the black men on the roster. But you know, that could be a whole show within itself. And maybe one day I'll actually get down and write this book that my best friend is trying to get me to do on racism in professional wrestling. But that's neither here nor there. Next up, we got Dolph Ziggler versus Otis from Heavy Machinery. And this was weird because they started out showing us the backstory behind the match, which was important, where Sonya basically was finally revealed as the one who was sending those texts to Otis to make him miss the date with Mandy, and she's the one that set Mandy up with Dolph Ziggler. So all that came to a head. And we get this match here, and Otis actually stuck in the storyline because he rushed out to the match pissed. But for some reason, Sonya was out with Dolph Ziggler, and I don't know, that just looked stupid because it's like she wasn't in this for Ziggler, she was in this for herself, as far as I could see, to keep Mandy away from Otis. But Ziggler's out here doing Ziggler shit. I mean, he sells like a motherfucker, but he's just not someone that is interesting to watch. Because again, he's another guy that they've kind of nerfed, and you forget he's a two-time champion. I don't think he'll ever be back at that position again if he stays within this organization, but he's a two-time champion. We'll see. I know he likes collecting those paychecks and doing what he's told, so you know that is what it is. But Otis, you know, they had a good match. It wasn't bad in my opinion. I enjoyed a lot of the things that I saw of it. So Otis hits the worm, and then Sonya distracts the ref, and Ziggler kicks Otis in the nuts. So it looks like he's about to win. Mandy's music hits. She storms down. She slaps the shit out of Sonya, and then gives Dolph a low blow, where Otis finishes the worm, gets the 1, 2, 3, and Mandy climbs into the ring with Otis, and they do the hug spot. He picks her up and they kiss. They walk up the ramp and they kiss again. And you know, obviously the storyline isn't over. They're definitely going to have a mixed tag team match at some point in time. I can guarantee you that, if it hasn't already been taped. So I'm a lot of the conversation on Twitter was about this match needing the crowd, and I get that because you remember what happened in the Royal Rumble when Mandy was thrown out and she landed on Otis's stomach, and the people fucking popped for that. So this match definitely would have benefited from having a crowd there. Unfortunately, we're not in the space to have that happen, so it fell kind of flat. But I don't see them stopping at this point. What I do want to see though is I want Sonya to come out of this as a badass heel. She should be someone who is in the title picture, and if they want her there as a heel, keep her there as a heel, because you know in the long run they're probably going to put Mandy over, and they're going to put her in a position to win the title at some point in time. You know they're going to put the belt on her, but Sonya's legit. While her punches look silly as fuck in her intro, she is a legit fighter. I mean, she fought MMA, I believe, at an amateur level, and I think she had like 1 or 2 professional fights, maybe at most. But she's legit, and she can work, and she looks good too. I mean, yeah, you could talk about, yes, she is a lesbian. That is, you know, she is a historical person in that space, but I don't think WWE wants to really touch that. Then they don't do it correctly. Clearly, they tried it with that live shit, and everybody spit on that because it was horrible. So they have someone that can play that role because that's her real life, and they don't want to touch upon that. I thought they was going to with the Mandy Rose angle, but you saw how that went. So now we're looking at the situation where, okay, Sonya can still be a legit contender in the women's division here, but I just wonder if they're really going to book her in that fashion. I really hope that they do. So after this, we got Randy Orton versus Edge, last man standing match. And again, the intro to this match was fantastic. The video package they put together, telling the backstory of this whole moment was good. Um, Edge comes to the ring first. Orton actually attacks him because he was disguised as a cameraman, which I thought was a good touch. He hits an early RKO, doesn't work clearly. They spill into the back, so they're fighting through gorilla position. They fight through the gym area, the same gym area where Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were just fighting. They did a spot where people are kind of like, kind of cringing at this a little bit, where Orton tries to hang Edge with a TRX strap from like the pull-up bars or something like that. And it's kind of cringeworthy. Like, maybe you shouldn't have done that one, just maybe, sir. So they had that moment there, and they continue to fight all through the back. It's a really nice, like a brawling tour of the Performance Center. For some reason, they have cages. They have a cage, like decorative cage, above the conference table, and Edge climbs that and drops onto Orton with an elbow drop. So that looked pretty. I mean, it looked weird, but it worked. So then this match continued going on. I think let's see how long this match was actually. Forgot to put the match times before I started. Let's see. Um, all right, so WrestleMania 39, 36, what I'm talking about. This match went 36 minutes, 35 seconds. Okay? So it's the longest match of all of WrestleMania. People were joking that since Triple H didn't have a match, that he made this the longest match because he loves his 30-minute classics, as Biggie would put it. So this match is going on, it's dragging. And after like the 25-minute mark, people start complaining about it online. I kind of lost interest for a brief moment. I was playing around on my phone, but came back to it. The finish, Orton hits a nasty draping DDT into the back of a truck bed that they were both in. I just wanted Edge to yell out that he can't feel his legs at some point in time. Let's really play up that neck injury part. But they continue fighting to end up on the top of a semi, I thought it was. And let me ask a question. Did anyone see that big ass ladder that they had set up in the back? And I'm like, there's no way Edge jumping off that joint. It had to be like 30 feet tall. There's no way that he was going to. I was looking at that Edge like, hey, if he climbs that, I'm turning this off. That ladder was huge. Thankfully, that did not happen. But they get onto the top of the truck. I really thought someone was going to fall off. Thankfully, they did not. Orton goes to punt Edge, but he gets speared. Edge then hits his standing arm triangle choke that basically makes Orton pass out, and then he finishes him off with a concerto on top of the truck. I love the way Edge made the ref stop counting, telling him to get the fuck out of there. But he hits the concerto, and I like the tears when he does it. Was a nice touch as well too. But he gets him out of there, and that was the end of the match. It was a little long. I didn't enjoy the total length of it, but I get the story that they were telling from start to finish. But I do think they easily could have shaved 10 minutes off of this match. And we're going to talk about the effective length of match in a moment. So next match we have Street Profits and Angelo Dawkins versus and Montez Ford versus Angel Garza and Austin Theory. This match really wasn't anything really to talk about, except for the fact that Street Profits get the win and Zelina Vega kicks Montez Ford in the face, and Bianca Belair runs out and hits the King of Diamonds on Zelina, which sets up her being, I guess, added onto Raw, which makes sense because obviously WWE doesn't like to split up couples and her husband's on that show. However, I hope that they do not pigeonhole her into this is Montez Ford's wife, and she's going to be a part of that group because like that's like she's so much better than that, so much better. And it took Naomi so long to get out from under being like Jimmy Uso's wife. I think she's Jimmy's wife, whatever Uso she's married to. It took her so long to get out from under that I think it hampered a piece of her career. Bianca is so much better than Naomi that I hope that they don't pigeonhole her in the same fashion. She should easily be the number one contender for Becky Lynch, easily, because there's no one else left except for Liv Morgan, and and I mean, I don't want to do that. Let's see, but Liv still has that storyline with Ruby Riott to go through, so let her go do that. Bianca could easily be the top contender in this women's division. So I hope that that's the situation that we go forward to. And actually, I forgot before the tag team title match, there was the 24/7 segment where Rob Gronkowski won the 24/7 title. Who gives a fuck? I don't. So let's move on to the women's title match where we have Naomi versus Bayley, Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, and Tamina. This was a good match. All the women fucking delivered. All the women's matches this weekend really delivered, and I wouldn't, I have no complaints about any of them at all. They were all enjoyable. This one right here was really good as well too. Let's talk about Naomi for a second because she always looks fantastic in the ring. I love the fact that we get to see a black woman with her natural hair in a WWE ring because you don't see that, and we need to see more of that. But she looks fantastic. So basically, it starts off with Sasha and Bayley working together early. Everyone tries to jump Tamina, and it just doesn't work. At one point in time, you get a team bad moment with, can you remember that's how Sasha got introduced from NXT to WWE with Tamina and Naomi. But that ended real quickly when Tamina kicks Sasha in the face. So they had that quick callback. Naomi was looking really good in the match. They all pile on Tamina to get her out of there. And then next up, Naomi gets eliminated, but she was really good. She has some really strong moments in the match. Then we get a Lacey Evans against Sasha and Bayley. And I was like, man, they're going to put they're going to put Lacey over both of these two women. I just knew it was coming, but that wasn't the case. We see a little miscommunication where Sasha eats a woman's right after she ducks out of the way. Bayley catches it and throws Lacey just in the right direction to clean out Sasha, so she's knocked out. Bayley doesn't save Sasha at all, so she's eliminated. And then Bayley starts beating the hell out of Lacey Evans. Lacey hits her double jump moonsault, and then she goes for the women's right on Bayley, but Sasha runs in and saves her, so Bayley gets the win. And from there, it looked like clearly they're setting up for Sasha versus Bayley for SummerSlam. I think I was joking with Sean Rossap on Twitter that match was going to happen. It was going to be on like the pre-show or something like that, and Lacey was going to be the champion. Thankfully, that is not the case. We got Sasha versus Bayley. Hopefully that's that, and I think SummerSlam is supposed to be in Boston this year, so hopefully that's the case. I mean, maybe I'm not gonna say I would go to that, but maybe that. I mean, it looked really good, and they are subtly setting up to that situation here. We didn't have the full turn on each other here. Sasha puts the belt around Bayley's waist, raises her hand, and that's the end of that. So you know that that's where they're headed, but I'm glad that they went about it this way. I wonder if they're going to go about it that way with Bayley being the actual heel. So then we got the match that everyone, the women's title match went 19 minutes and 20 seconds. So then we got the match that everyone's going to be talking about, and that is the Firefly Funhouse segment. This was, again, just like the Boneyard match on Saturday, WWE has been pushed against the wall where they cannot create their content the way they want. They had to go outside the box. And not only did they go outside the box, they burned the box down with this match. The Boneyard match was great last night. I still think I'm not going to go and say which one was better. Fuck it. The Firefly Funhouse match was better to me because you had no idea what this was going to be coming into it. The Boneyard match, you kind of had an idea. You knew that was going to be some type of graveyard match. It was something, someone's going to go in the grave and someone's going to get buried alive. You knew that was going to happen. This match, we had no idea what it was. So John Cena comes out first. Well, they give us the backstory, and then John Cena comes out first. His music hits, And right when he's about to say it's WrestleMania season, it cuts and he gets teleported to the funhouse. He looks around. The puppets are there. They tell him to go through the door. He walks through the door. He walks into the ruthless aggression era. So it's almost as if he's walking through his career and like important moments in his career, but those moments are in reverse. Instead of him being successful in those moments, it's him failing. I looked at this moment and at this whole match, and I'm like, this is like something straight out of Nightmare of Elm Street with Bray playing Freddy, because this was the ruthless aggression era. John Cena came out in the exact tights, bare chest. He still had his current haircut clearly, but instead of Angle, Bray was playing that part. And every time John tried to hit Bray, he couldn't. So they go through that. Bray even makes a Bella Twins joke, a subtle joke about their theme music, and then it cuts and goes to the SmackDown era. He's out there in the SmackDown era, and then it cut from there to the Saturday Night Live main event, where Bray is like hyping up John Cena to come out as his tag team partner. They're doing that old Macho Man and Hulk Hogan promo, and it's like John can't control himself. He wants to attack Bray, but he can't. He's sitting there getting hyped, pumping up, lifting weights, flexing, doing all the old 80s stick type of promo, and he cannot physically attack Bray because his body won't allow. So from there they go to the work life segment where John Cena is in his thugonomics gear, big jersey, backwards hat. I think he had his hat on backwards, whatever. You know, like the shit he used to wear when I really couldn't stand him. And he's rapping. And the one-liners he would drop would always, and people would cheer about, are all getting boos, they're getting hisses. And it's, like I said, it's just like the inverse of what his career has been. So then Bray is talking to him as if, telling him not to make the same mistakes that he's made in the past, telling him to be better. They skip one more time and they go to the WCW Monday Night era where Bray is playing Eric Bischoff, going through that Bischoff like promo that introduced Hulk Hogan as the world champion. Like you've seen it before. It introduced Hulk Hogan. He comes out playing the guitar with NWO sprayed on the title. Cena is Hogan. So Cena finally gets to be able to attack Bray. He's on top of him, punching him, and it's like and again, it's his dream, it's his nightmare. It skips again, and he's punching the Husky Harris pig doll, whatever, that puppet, and he looks up. The Fiend is standing behind him. He gets attacked. He takes the mandible claw, gets pinned, 1, 2, 3. It's Bray Wyatt actually pinning that actual ref. Now, and there was one other callback too as well. Back to when Cena and Bray Wyatt had their original match, and Bray was on his knees telling John Cena to hit him with the chair. They redid that. I don't think Cena hit him with the chair back then, 6 years, I can't remember. He didn't hit him with the chair then. This time he goes to hit him with the chair and misses because Bray teleports. That was before he came out as the Fiend. But this was something else. I was jotting down notes. I wanted to take more notes on this match, but I was jotting them down quickly because I didn't want to miss anything. And that is what WWE content has gotten away from, that desire to not want to miss anything. And I did not want to miss any of this at all. And it was different from the Boneyard match because you did not know what was coming. This was a journey down memory lane that was awesome from start to finish. And I liked how they likened John Cena to a backstage bully that didn't put anyone over. Like they likened him to Hulk Hogan. They likened him to the Golden Child, the Golden Goose who could do nothing wrong. And I liked how they did that. This could be something amazing. I mean, we know John Cena is not coming back full time. But imagine if he came back for a heel run or something like that, just because of what we saw here. Remember, everyone that the Fiend has gone against so far has turned heel in some form or fashion. Finn Balor, The Miz, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, everybody that he's had a match with has either gone away or has become a heel character. I think that Cena's obviously going away, but just imagine a little brief, short heel John Cena run. That would be so perfect. This match here was my favorite match of the weekend. I think it's going to be remembered very positively. And again, if you have the opportunity to go back and watch this, it was fantastic. And that went 13 minutes on the dot. So then we get the main event, and this is the main event in name only, because I definitely think the Fiend match was more of the main event, and you get Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre. I mean, this match was just like the Braun Braun Strowman Bill Goldberg match, where they start off hot. Um, Lesnar, let me see. So what happened first? Drew McIntyre landed the Claymore. Lesnar kicks out. Brock hits an F5. Drew kicks out at 1. Brock hits another F5. Drew kicks out at 2. Hits 2 more F5s. Drew keeps kicking out. Goes for another. Drew gets off the top. He lands a Claymore. Then he eats 2 more Claymores, and McIntyre wins. That's really what the match was. And yeah, everyone knew that Drew McIntyre was going to win the title. It was his coronation that from all the way back when he was Intercontinental Champion. So it's unfortunate that it came in this fashion. I thought there would be a little bit more to it than this, but that just was not to be the case. Am I glad that Drew won? Of course I am. Am I surprised it went down in this fashion? Not at all. Do I think a longer match would have been better? A longer match would have been okay, 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe, but I mean, well, I was going to say, you saw the type of matches that Rey Mysterio, AJ Styles, and Daniel Bryan gave Brock Lesnar, and I wonder if Drew McIntyre could have got the same type of match out of him. I don't think so fully, but this match still could have been a bit longer. It was only 4 minutes and 35 seconds. It could have had a lot more drama to it, and sadly it did not. But McIntyre is a champion, and let's see what happens here next. And it's interesting because when you use the term next, you have to wonder what is next for WWE, because you just saw the news today actually, that AEW is shutting down for the time being. They taped a lot of content over the next for the next few weeks or so, because you don't really know what this space is going to look like, and they didn't want to continue risking it. So they did the right thing and they taped a whole bunch of content. I don't know that WWE will do the same. They were advertising Money in the Bank, which is scheduled for May 10th, but they did not say it was going to be in a live auditorium or a live situation. It was originally supposed to be in Baltimore. I was going to try to go to that, but now they're saying that they're still going to have it. So I wonder if they're going to try to tape that as well. But you really don't know what's next for any of professional wrestling. It's just, we got to kind of wait and see as the rest of the world does. But that is it, man. That's second day of WrestleMania 36. If I had to go back and think about which matches were my favorite, definitely the Firefly Funhouse match, followed by the Boneyard match, followed by the ladder match in Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. That was great. Um, I think the women's tag team match was good too. There's a lot of good matches. The first night definitely performed much better in my opinion. It will be remembered much stronger. I would like to see somebody rate them as separate events, and you would definitely know that day two would get the lower rating. It was 18 matches in total. In my opinion, WWE cannot go back to a 1 day WrestleMania. Not after this. They cannot. This has to be a 2 day event. I would be much happier if this was a 2 day event. It doesn't allow them to do Takeover. Maybe they can move Takeover to Friday, move the Hall of Fame joint to Thursday or something like that. But having this be a 2 day event is much more enjoyable. More people get time in front of the camera, and you can be more creative, and just people get more time. I think that is the most important piece of it. I really enjoyed WrestleMania 36. I hope you did too. And I hope you enjoyed the different presentation of action. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and close out. And As always, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to our content. Again, my name is Raphael Garcia. You can catch me at rgarcia_sports on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow always follow my MMA ratings podcast co-host as well, Sean Humes at Black Jordan Green. You can follow MMA ratings on Instagram and Twitter at MMA Ratings Net in both spaces. Hop on over to MMAratings.net for our flagship where all of our content is. And also you can find us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, um, Anchor, and I believe that is it. And you can go to YouTube, MMA Ratings, and catch our content there. Please be sure to like and subscribe. But as always, thank you again for taking the time to listen to our show. My name is Raphael Garcia. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day and have a great week.